Okay, everyone, recording has now begun, so I will begin today's session. So welcome along to session 2 of our program looking at the use of artificial intelligence or AI in our schools. This session today is all around developing guidance within your school on the use of artificial intelligence and some of the key themes and messages that we need to think about and consider when implementing and introducing AI into our schools. So for those of you who've not met me before, my name's Sean. I am the Associate Curriculum Partner for Digital Skills within the AS, and I support schools with digital skills and technologies from nursery all the way through to post-16. So outside of this session, if you do want any further support, guidance or advice, please do use contact details there to get in touch with me, and I'd be more than happy to support and help. So today's agenda is going to cover off the 4 following items. The first thing we're going to look at is probably the cornerstone really to the introduction of artificial intelligence, and is thinking about digital resilience in our schools, our current online safety or safeguarding policies and procedures, and ensuring that we are, robust in the use of the tools that are currently available to us. Then we're going to have a little look at the steps to implementing AI. So not just jumping straight into using AI tools without really having a full understanding of how we should go about slowly introducing them to the classroom. Then we're going to have a look at the 7 principles of AI in education, defined by the team at TeachAI, Code.org, Khan Academy, and much more. And then finally, we'll have a look at some suggested documentation for developing your own guidance in your school. Now, we'll say straight off the bat here that we're not going to be providing you with a guidance document that you can edit and change for your own school, because each school will have its own context. And we are also awaiting, I suppose, further guidance from Welsh Government on the introduction and use of AI in schools. Becky from Welsh Government is on the call with us this afternoon, and my understanding is that we should have something in April time just to confirm Welsh Government stance on it, which may then help to kind of inform the development of AI in your school. So that's kind of the 4 key things we're going to look at today, and hopefully throughout this then you'll have a deeper understanding and a bit more confidence on the use of AI in your school and how it's going to feed in and dovetail off your current policies and practices. So let's start with then thinking about and considering digital resilience in our schools. And before we even consider jumping into the use of AI, for me, starting off with making sure that our online safety policies using the 360 Safe tool are robust and that they are being used effectively within our school, and making sure that this isn't a logging in once and having a look at what it does, but it's more a case of using it as a tool that we constantly review and reflect on and update in line with the changes in technologies and systems that are out there presently. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with the 360 Safe tool, I think this is a good opportunity here to really consider and review what it can do for you in your school. I think there's a really important thing to note here that if you do have any visits from Estin, one of the questions that they may ask you may be around the use of the 360 Safe tool, ensuring that you use it well to ensure your online safety policies and practices are in order and are robust enough. And if you're not using it, then they'll be looking to see what you are using to ensure that this is available. So the 360 Safe tool has been developed for Wales. It's free through the Hub platform, so it's really important that we engage with the tool and ensure that we are on top of those things within our schools. So for those of you who are new to the 360 Safe tool, it enables schools really to produce, review your online safety policies and develop good practice for keeping your users safe in the online world. Now, we would encourage you to revisit or begin reviewing your 360 Safe audit by logging into Hub, and you'll see on the dashboard the 360 Cymru icon, and you can then access the tool from there if you've not recently done so. And there's a few bullet points on the screen there that kind of gives you an outline of what the 360 Safe tool can do for you. Alongside 360 Safe, we also have the 360 Digi tool. Again, this is a robust toolkit for schools looking at self-evaluation of digital practices. And that the 360 Digi tool focuses on the leadership of digital within your school, the professional learning and innovation, the curriculum provision and pedagogy, and also then the EdTech standards as well. So really useful tools available to you for free as a digital lead within your school to kind of review and ensure your policies and practices, again, are as robust and up to date as possible. With regards to 360 Safe then, it's broken down into elements and strands and aspects. So in this diagram, the elements across the top there in the sort of the tealy blue colour, there are 4 main elements at the top of this structure, which outline how the review is carried out. So for example, there you can see the key themes and elements based around policy and leadership, education, technology and outcomes. Now, each element will provide the school a starting point for the review and consists of a number of strands and aspects. The strands highlighted in yellow there are 8 in total, and each strand is then further divided into the 21 separate aspects that you can see there in the green at the bottom of that diagram. So this tool, if used effectively in your school, is really robust in ensuring that you are up to date again with all those policies and procedures around online safety, which for me is the most important part of the use of digital technologies for our learners in school. Of those 21 aspects in total, okay, it's quite small on the screen, but within each aspect, there are 5 level statements, starting with level 5, and then you move up to level 1, which will represent the highest level of achievement in the online safety categories. Schools, or you will select the statement that best reflects your current position in school. Now, for schools who are interested, the online safety mark is something that you can apply for. It does cost, but you can go for accreditation, and schools will be expected to reach at least level 2 across all of the 21 aspects in each of the strands and elements as well. Now, as you go through completing the 360 Safe tool, the dashboard will include a radar graph, which will then provide an overview of your school's progress within the tool and the areas of online safety that need the most improvement. Now, the levels you will have selected for each aspect will be shown in green, which you can't see on that diagram there, along with then the current national level in blue, and then the recommended benchmark level for the online safety benchmarking is in the red dots there. So this is a really useful tool because, as you can see across the bottom of the diagram there's an opportunity to look at a report, which will give you an action plan really on how you can move areas of digital technology and online safety forward in your school. So I would really encourage you as a school, if you're not using this already, or if you have not reviewed the online safety tool in a number of months, to go back now and just double check that everything is watertight within your school. What would you need to do next? And I say now really is the time for you to update that tool, as I've just said, to make sure that your policy and provision meets the latest good practice guidance. Go through, carefully check that the level statements you have identified previously still meet the relevant levels. Have a read through the improvement actions to see what you might include in your action plan to move to the next level in each aspect, and maybe look at prioritizing those. And then if you are considering applying for the online safety assessment or the reassessment, check that you meet the new benchmark levels and that your commentary describes clearly how your provision matches the new benchmark level statements as well. The other fantastic thing about the 360 Safe tool is that as part of the resources available on Hub, there are a number of already written template letters, template policies and template guidance available for you in your school. So as you can see on the screen there, these range from your online safety policy through to acceptable usage agreements, through to things such as recording incidents and reviewing incidents that happen online in your school as well. So like I said, the resources are all there. You can read through those and adapt them to fit your school or your setting to ensure that they meet the context that you are within. But a really good starting point when considering writing any policy or guidance around the use of online safety in your schools. Another really useful document to have a look at, which was posted fairly recently from Common Sense Media, who are partners of Hub and the Welsh Government team, entitled AI and Our Kids, Considerations and Guidance for Parents, Educators and Policymakers, written in 2023 last year. It's quite a robust and lengthy document, but just to summarise some of the key things that come about in that document, And I think it's important for me to sort of read these out, is that generative AI tools that do not have meaningful guardrails in place due to training and fine tuning are fundamentally dangerous for people and especially dangerous for children. They found that there are some amazing opportunities for generative AI tools to transform learning for children, families, and educators. But these opportunities, whilst developing quickly, are mostly nascent and unproven as of publication of that paper. So when the paper was printed last year, some of those tools were unproven. Unlike these potential opportunities, the risks of generative AI for kids in schools are very real and are already playing out in communities across the country. Parents and educators need to ask critical questions about generative AI tools before using them with children to ensure that the tools are safe and designed with desirable learning outcomes in mind. And I think that's a key point for me there, is ensuring that whilst there's lots of fancy uses of AI that we're seeing out on the internet at the moment, ensuring that the desirable learning outcomes are at the forefront of everything that we do and the decisions that we make when thinking about the use of AI in our schools. And then finally, they identified several areas where additional research needs to be done. They also suggest some next steps for policy as well as the creation of the common sense rating system for generative AI tools to support parents, educators in making informed decisions about which tools are safe and effective for kids or children to use. So a really important document there, and I've kind of just taken out the key points that they've said directly from that report. But if you are interested in reading a little bit more about what they're saying, then there's a link to that further on in this presentation. So that's just kind of a little bit of an introduction really into the importance of ensuring that our online safety policies and procedures that are currently in place are robust enough to then allow us to implement AI technologies and practices within our school. So that leads us on nicely really to the three steps, really, the three stages to implementing AI systems and AI practices within our school ecosystem. So this has been designed by Teach AI. So if you joined us in our first session, you will have heard a lot about them and the resources they have available. But they've designed this three-stage process, to integrate artificial intelligence into our learning environments, both effectively and I think key point here being ethically as well. Now, in stage one, the focus is on creating robust policies and guidelines, and that's what we're here to consider and talk about today. They note that they understand the immediate risks associated with AI, and they are committed to ensuring that it does not undermine the quality of learning as the school goes through the coming academic years. The policies available on the Teach AI website and guidance available will serve as a solid foundation, addressing potential challenges and setting clear boundaries for the AI utilization in education systems, schools, and settings. As we move then on to stage two, the aim is then to facilitate organizational learning, thinking about how you can invest in your practitioners to ensure that they harness the individual learning experience of many educators who are already excited by AI. Now, that collective wisdom will not only enhance the organizational knowledge, but also drive innovation in AI education. And I think a key part of stage two is really investing in your practitioners to ensure they know how to use AI both again effectively and ethically in the classroom. And then lastly, in stage three, this is where we look at identifying areas for improvements and effective transformations within the classroom. Now, the goal here is to unveil opportunities that have the potential to scale and support your school and education system. Now, through the continuous improvement and transformation, we should be aspiring really to make AI an integral part of our school and settings landscape. So, in essence, these three stages are laying down some strong ethical foundations through developing your guidance, looking at fostering that organizational learning, and also then moving to that large scale improvement and transformation of your school or setting as well. So let's break those down slightly more then into the kind of the three key stages. So in stage one, schools and organisations should really consider the four following key areas. The first being the compliance with security and privacy policies. Are you ensuring that the AI systems that you're thinking about using adhere to organisational security, privacy guidelines, and the Welsh Education Digital Standards? Are you reviewing regularly and updating your policies in school then to address the evolving risks of the use of AI in schools? The second key theme then would be around educating students and staff on the opportunities of AI, but also the risks of AI as well. So are we considering how we are conducting workshops, training sessions, and awareness programs off the back of the training that you're receiving today? And are we starting to foster understanding of the potential benefit and ethical challenge of using AI within our schools and curriculums? The third key theme here then centers around clarifying the responsible use of AI tools and making sure that we have clear guidelines for human oversight in AI decision making. So not just taking AI as fact, making sure that we take that time to read through and understand what the AI tool has said for us. And then finally, and I think this is the key part here, emphasizing the value of human interaction. AI should not augment, replace human interaction in the classroom. What it should do is encourage collaboration, empathy, and critical thinking. So we're not asking AI to replace teachers. Teachers are vital in learning and progress. So we need to ensure that we're using AI again effectively and that it does not just become something that children use in replacement of teachers in the classroom. So when we consider stage two, then the policy or guidance, effective strategies and guidance at this stage should really consider the following. Are we, as a school or organisational setting, prioritising professional development? Does every staff member in your school have the opportunity to invest in their skills and knowledge through targeted training programs so they really know the benefits and the effective uses of AI technology in your school? Are we providing collective experiences with AI? Are we using current experiences and sharing that as good practice? Are we documenting successes, identifying those gaps, and building the connective knowledge of our workforce? And then finally, are we thinking about operational considerations? Are we evaluating the existing AI tools and creating a selection criteria for future adoption? Which tools are going to work well for you in your school and your curriculum? Which ones are not going to work so well? Ensuring things like the data protection agreements are in place and that schools are not using tools that require parental consent or are not age appropriate. The final stage then, stage three, this is really where schools should start considering things like personalised learning, thinking about how AI can support tailoring education to individual student needs. Could we think about how AI could support project-based learning with students engaging in real-world projects that are both purposeful, authentic and contextual? And also then, are we thinking about how AI can reduce teacher paperwork, help support well-being, streamline administrative tasks, and actually focus on then impactful changes in our schools and settings? So they are the kind of three stages and steps to implementing AI in your school. I think the key thing to pick up at this point as well is it's all about, we talk about, you'll see the word guidance and policy come through. And I think for AI in schools, it's all about guidance. The moment you write a policy for AI, tomorrow it will be out of date because there'll be something new that comes on. So it's all about writing a guidance document or a guidance statement for the use of technology or the use of AI within your school and incorporating that within your school vision to ensure then that staff are using that safely and effectively and making sure that's reviewed on a regular basis. So let's move then into sort of the seven principles of AI in education. What do they look like, and how should we begin to think about how this can impact on the development of our curriculum and the use of technology within each of our schools? So here, again, defined by the Teach AI team, are the seven principles for AI in education. They consider things such as purpose and compliance, knowledge and balance, evaluation and agency, and finally, integrity as well. So let's dive down a little bit deeper then into those seven principles and how they could be integrated into what we're currently doing in our schools. So, in terms of purpose, at this point, leaders should really clarify the shared values that will guide the use of AI tools, especially those that were not specifically created for educational contexts. Let's take ChatGPT as an example here. AI tools should be applied to serve existing goals such as promoting student and staff well-being, enriching student learning experiences, and enhancing administrative functions. So thinking about using AI tool for a purpose, not just to say we've used AI in our curriculum or in our school, but are we using it to support things such as well-being, student learning experiences, and administrative functions. And there's some discussion questions and guiding questions there for you on the screen to consider when talking to your senior leadership team around this, or when you start thinking about writing your own guidance policies and documents. So, when you're having that conversation and you're reflecting on the purpose of AI in your school, some things to consider. How does your current digital vision and strategy reflect the changes in technology and the emergence of AI within the curriculum? How, as a school, are you addressing and ensuring that all learners have access to those tools, ensuring that there isn't now what people are calling a new digital divide? And I think the key thing here is that there will be tools available in Hub that will allow for this. So let's focus on the use of those because we know that they're in a safe ecosystem and environment. Have we considered the data implications, the age restrictions, and the security concerns when using AI tools in the classroom? And have you had those conversations with your local authority or your service provider around that? And also, as part of that vision and strategy, are you teaching learners about the teaching staff and learners about the ethical use of AI, the impact that AI actually has on our lives, and then the ethical issues that may arise from the use of AI? So the next thing to consider then is compliance and reaffirming adherence to the existing policies. And again, there are some discussion questions there that you might want to take back to your senior leadership team to start that discussion. But when you're implementing AI systems, the key areas of technology policy to comply with are privacy, data security, student safety, data transfer and ownership, and the key one, safeguarding and protecting young children. And I think the key takeaway here is that AI systems learn by studying the patterns in vast amounts of data. Generally speaking, the more data they get, the better they are, because more data is better. And companies that own AI systems are incentivized to collect lots of data, often by collecting and processing data about their users and/or purchasing data. So it's really, really important to note that if you are already using AI tools in your school, have you considered the data sharing arrangements? Have you looked at the small print to see how the data that you input to those systems is being used by the person or people who have designed that AI system? The things to look out for when looking at different apps and websites is to check to see if the app or tool was developed for use in education. Look for first-party help articles or guides available about the tool that explain the safety and privacy features. Potentially look through the privacy policy and look for passages that mention school use and things such as GDPR. But you can also have a look through Common Sense Media's privacy program for a thorough privacy review of many online tools, and I'll share some of those with you slightly later in this presentation. So some key takeaways again. Okay, I think in the world of social media, we'll often see educators and consultants sharing the newest and most exciting AI tools. Now, they all look wonderful, but it's important to ensure that all the due diligence is completed before sharing these tools with the learners. So consider, as I've already mentioned, have you checked with your LA data officer that the tool you are using has been checked and complies with GDPR regulations? Is it safe? And does it share data with the tool you are using? Is your current safeguarding policy or online safety policy robust? And does it include a reference to the use of AI and how it should be used in your school? So I mentioned there some of the resources available from Common Sense Media. And you can click on the blue link there at the top of the screen that will take you through to their AI initiative website, where they kind of share the report that I shared with you earlier in the session, but also talk about some of the things to consider with relation to artificial intelligence in our schools. They have developed, a bit like the Keeping Safe Online guides that you can find on Hub, some guides that kind of talk you through the use of the different AI tools. So as an example, for ChatGPT, they have looked at ChatGPT, given it an overall rating. So if I just jump into this bit here, so you can see that it's given an overall rating of the tool, how the tool is used, and then the privacy rating for that tool. So you can see here it's 46%, which is quite low. It also then provides people with an overview of what the tool is, how it works, its highlights, and also then the harms and the ethical risks that are available as well. So a really useful tool to have a look at. Again, you can access that using the blue link at the top of the screen there as well. So when we move through to then stage three of sort of the seven principles of AI, the next thing to consider is knowledge. And again, those discussion questions are there for you to consider when writing your guidance or talking to your SLT about this. But the thing to promote at stage three is AI literacy. And we'll talk a little bit more about this later on in the program when we think about AI within our curriculum. But we should be considering the foundational concepts of AI literacy and how they include elements of computer science as well as ethics, psychology, data science, engineering, statistics, and more areas that are beyond STEM. Now, AI literacy equips individuals to engage productively and responsibly with AI technologies in society, the economy, and their personal lives. Now, we can create, as educators, opportunities to collaborate and consolidate lessons learned to promote AI across the disciplines. And I know that, again, the Common Sense Media team are developing a range of resources around how we can teach AI literacy in our curriculum as well. I think here, just to kind of define AI literacy for anyone who's not come across the term before, it refers to the knowledge, skills, and attitudes associated with how artificial intelligence works, including its principles, concepts, and applications, as well as how to use artificial intelligence, such as its limitations, implications, and ethical considerations. So there's a lot that it encompasses, and I think it's going to be a really important piece of work for us to consider with our schools, sitting alongside how we teach about digital citizenship and e-safety. AI literacy is going to be a real big part of that now moving forward within our curriculum. But also, just to kind of note, computational thinking, again, sitting within the DCF, is a really big part of the use of AI and understanding for schools how AI can be used and how we can develop computational thinking through the use of AI. I'm just going to pause for a couple of seconds so you can just have a read through the statements on the screen, thinking about how the DCF skills of computational thinking relate to the use of AI. Okay, so part four then of the seven principles focuses on balance and realizing the benefits of AI and addressing the risks. So any guidance that is developed in your school should include responsible use cases in line with AI's potential to support community goals such as improving student and teacher well-being and also learning outcomes as well. And I think it's important, rather than just acknowledging the risks of AI in schools, that we should provide guidance on mitigating the risks so that potential benefits can be realised as we move forward. And I think with guidance with guidance, really, what we might be able to do is realise those potential benefits of AI to improve learning outcomes, support teacher instruction and quality of life, and also to enhance educational equity. Without guidance for our schools and settings, then teachers and students can be exposed to a number of privacy violations, inconsistent disciplinary consequences, and also counterproductive AI adoption practices. And this was a slide that I shared with you in our initial session. Principle five then looks at integrity. And I think this is potentially more a secondary focus, but I know particularly later primary when we're starting to use and do a lot more sort of research and things like that. It is necessary to address plagiarism and the other risks to academic integrity. AI simultaneously offers staff and students an opportunity to emphasize the fundamental values that underpin academic integrity, and they would be honesty and trust, fairness, respect, and responsibility. I think here, for example, AI tools can help staff and students quickly cross-reference information and claims, though they must still be critical of the output. AI's limitations can also showcase the unique value of authentic personal creation. And when you think about the use of AI, and I think this is again an important message for everyone, that anything that's churned out or chucked out by AI shouldn't be taken as gospel. We should really be thinking about that and double checking to make sure that the sources and everything are correct. Now in ChatGPT, you will just get the text thrown out at you, but if you do use something like Microsoft Copilot, Copilot will give you links to the places where it got that information from. So it will give you links out to websites as well. So it makes that checking process around the validity of the information that's being provided a lot easier and a lot more efficient as well. Now, this kind of is just, again, probably something more for secondary, but students really should be truthful about giving credit to sources and tools and honest in presenting work that is genuinely their own for evaluation and feedback. Students should be instructed about properly citing any instances where generative AI tools were used. I also think on the flip side that teachers should really be transparent about their uses of AI and clear about how and when students are expected to use or not use AI. For example, a teacher might allow the limited use of generative AI on specific assignments or parts of an assignment and articulate why they do not allow its use in other assignments. Teachers should not use technologies that purport to identify the use of generative AI to detect cheating and plagiarism. The accuracy of these technologies at present is questionable, leading to the risk of false positives and false negatives. Their use can promote a culture of policing assignments to maintain the status quo rather than preparing students for a future where AI usage is ubiquitous. So I think there's a key one there. There's things out there at the moment, such as I think it's GPT-0, which claims to be able to detect whether AI has been used to write particular passages. But it's also checking out lots of false negatives and false positives, saying that people have written it in AI when in actual fact they haven't. Stage six, then, the sixth principle really within guidance for AI is around agency. And I think any decision-making practices supported by AI must enable human intervention and ultimately rely on human approval processes. These decisions include instructional decisions such as assessment or academic interventions, and operational decisions such as hiring and resource allocation. AI systems should serve in a consultative and supportive role without replacing the responsibilities of students, teachers, or administrators in our schools. And I think a really important key quote here to kind of to circle back to is something that Steve Jobs said, is that the most important thing is a person who incites your curiosity and feeds your curiosity. And machines cannot do that in the same way that people can. So again, going back to any decision-making practice supported by AI must enable human intervention and ultimately rely on human approval processes. So as we circle around then to the final kind of principle of the use of AI in your school, this is probably, again, a very key one. It's evaluation, regularly assessing the impact of AI on your school and setting. So guidance should be reviewed and updated often to ensure it continues to meet the school's needs and complies with any changes in law or guidance from regulators and government. Guidance and policies will benefit from feedback from various stakeholders, including your teachers and parents, your students, and particularly your governing body, especially as more is learned about the impact of AI in education. So to circle back then really to our 7 key principles, the 7 key principles that we've identified as part of AI in education are purpose, compliance, knowledge and balance, evaluation and agency, and also then integrity and the use of the tools as well. So lots of things to consider and discuss there with your senior leadership team as you think about now developing your guidance for use of AI in your schools. So when it comes then to developing your own guidance, as I kind of said at the start of the session, we wouldn't be providing really a template for you to go off, but there are a number of people out there, evangelists and digital strategists who have begun to kind of collate examples of what a guidance document for AI in your school might look like. As always, please don't just take these and change the name of the schools. I would highly recommend that you kind of take a look through these and make sure that you write something that is fit and purposeful for your context and your setting. So just to share a couple of these with you, ICT evangelist Mark Anderson has written an artificial intelligence policy template. And again, as I said, he's called this a policy. I would be more inclined to think about writing a guidance document rather than policy. And the link to that is in the blue hyperlink at the top there. So if you wanted to have a look at it, then you can jump across and have a look. I'll put all these links in the chat for you afterwards. The second one, Dan Fitzpatrick, the AI Educator, has a number of resources available for you as a school to consider when developing guidance in your school. You can simply click on the link at the top there. You can sign up to, I think it's the Thing link page, and there's a link on this page to a number of resources around the development of guidance, particularly this section here in the bottom right-hand corner underneath the hand talks about the development of policy and guidance within your school. As I suggested in the last session, the Teach AI website, so teachai.org, has a number of resources that they've developed, again, with lots of big companies and organizations around the world around the effective use of AI. They have a sample guidance document on the website that can be used to, again, support your thinking of how you integrate the use of AI into your school as well. Not so much policy document or template that you can kind of look at and use, but another interesting read, quite a lengthy document, but from UNESCO, a document entitled AI in Education, which is guidance for policymakers. Particularly useful for looking at some of the tips and tricks that they have in there around things that should be included in your school's guidance. And also then our partner South Wales Grid for Learning, they have a site and a page of considerations for schools when considering the writing of a guidance document for staff and for students as well. So I'd highly recommend that you take a look at some of those resources. I'll pop them in the chat just after the end of the session here, so you've got the links directly that you can go to use. But obviously the presentation and the video will be available for you to flick through following today's session. So just to circle back then to the agenda and the things that we've covered off in today, we have looked at digital resilience and the importance of reviewing our 360 Safe tool and ensuring that we are using the most up-to-date online safety policies and practices in our schools. We had to look at the 3 stages to implementing AI, thinking about policy and practice, thinking about professional learning, and then integration and transformation in our schools. We considered then the 7 principles of AI, and there are some guiding questions on those slides that you may want to consider when writing your guidance or discussing the integration of AI with the SLT in your school. And also then some suggested documentation for developing your own guidance as well, with links provided to a number of templates and websites there. As I said, Welsh Government will be producing and sharing their guidance document in the next month or so. As soon as I have eyes on that, I will get that shared via the EAS digital network. But in the meantime, before jumping into just using AI without considering all those implications, please do make sure you do your due diligence on the different tools and apps that are available. Ensure that they are safe and that the data that's being shared with them is again under lock and key. If you're not sure, the best person to speak to within your local authority would be your data sharing officer, or speak to somebody within SRS or Caerphilly IT who will be able to guide you further on the data sharing arrangements of the apps and websites that you are considering to use. So just to say, a bit shorter session this afternoon, but a huge thank you for your cooperation and for cooperation for joining us this afternoon on this developing guidance session around the use of AI in your school. If you could please just provide a short evaluation this afternoon of today's session using the QR code there on the screen or by clicking on the blue link. Um, and if you do have any further questions, then you are welcome to drop me an email or give me a call using the details that I shared at the start of this session.